Hey guys, King of Charmanners, and boy do I have a fun but evil team for you. Well, it's fun for me, evil to my opponent, because like, why am I using this? As you see, I have the Stall Hole. This is the most, I would say, probably a lot of fun. A team that's a lot of fun, but if you're looking to climb with it, it's not gonna happen. The attempt is to run the clock on your opponent, or to just literally beam them to death, because you can actually, depending on like what you face, you could actually just pull out a bunch of W's just because you literally hyper beam the crap out of your opponent, or you just take them out with a Lomola, either way. But the Stall Hole team is a lot of fun, and if you're not climbing and you're looking to just have an app, this is the troll, this team is the most troll team in the entire Glove Cup. There's nothing, it's so trolly. It's the ABB troll from hell, and it's so much fun. Alright, so before we get shoutcast, here's the team. It's Alola, Blissey, and Chansey. Now, realistically, there's probably no realistic way you're going to time out your opponent in the Love Cup. 99% of the time, unless you get locked in a Alola versus an Alola, and then you fire off a ton of charge moves, it's not going to happen. The reason being is there's not a lot of things that can debuff you here. Along with that, the Pokemon that could probably run the clock the most is probably Churum, and Churum doesn't live that long, just because Bullet Sleet and Weather Ball is so spammy. But again, in order for you to time out your opponent, you have to fire a bunch of charge moves, and or debuff your opponent, and lock them into debuffs. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that does that debuff attack in the Love Cup. So here's the team. It's Alola, Blissey, and Chansey. As you see, all of them are obscenely thick, and Psychic is there just because it's a bait move, and it does a ton of damage to Shadow Vileplume or other poison types. Now, the thing about it is, Blissey is your safe switch, and you basically have to Hyper Beam through shields if you want to take back switch if you lose lead with Alola. This team can actually do a ton of damage just because Hyper Beam is just so powerful. That's if you get to your Hyper Beam. As you see here, this team is obscenely thick, very hot, very bulky, extremely bulky. So bulky. And if you look over here, it has one glaring weakness. Actually, yeah, it has one very glaring weakness, which is fighters. If you can't take out the fighter with Alola, Blissey and Chansey will get annihilated by Medicham, especially if it's a Medicham that gets, or Scrafty that's revved up with Power Punch. Because if they have a ton of pups and their attack is like +6, you're probably going to get punched down a lot no matter how thick Blissey or Chansey is. Other than that, it's a very fun team. If they don't have a fighter on their team, this team is actually a whole lot of fun. You're going to see in a shoutcast, like, it's just absolutely ridiculous, just like how many beams I get off, and just how good this team actually is if you play it well, if you actually are able to land Hyper Beam. Anyways, getting on with the shoutcast, again, do not, okay, so disclaimer, do not use this to climb to Legend. If you make Legend with this team, you are an absolute god. An absolute god. Again, I don't recommend you use this team to get to Legend because it's very, very risky. Again, if you have a single fighter on the other team, you are lose. Like, it's almost an auto loss. Again, do not use this team to climb Legend. If you do use this to climb to Legend, or if you're original Legend, this team's a whole lot of fun. And if you want to use it to have some laughs and have some giggles and beam your opponents with two obscenely thick Pokemon, because Alola doesn't really have a beam, then this team is for you. Alright, so I have only about like 3 battles here. I'm not gonna go full on like 5 battles to like for this video because it's gonna take a while and it's really not that technical. So, as you see, I got Alola, Blissey, and Chansey. If I lose lead, I will safe switch into Blissey, and then I will try to beat my opponent. As you see, we got a Charizard, so this is actually great for us. Charizard and Alola is not a great combination. I get a Wormadam Trash as a safe switch, and this kind of sucks because I can't send Blissey or Chansey in because Pound's resisted by Wormadam. That's why I'm shielding here, because I'm like, crap. Okay, so my best option here is to try to bait a shield. As you see, I go build to Hydro Pump or close to it, fire off the Psychic, and we do get that shield. I'm going to do the same exact thing, or actually, I'm going to try to actually farm down here. I still have a shield, so I'm going to shield this one, and I'm going to try to farm down my opponent. Actually, I don't even shield it, never mind. So I try to farm without taking it, and it somehow actually works, and I live with like 1 HP. So my idea here is to fire a Psychic to bait that last shield from the Charizard. I could have fired a Hydro Pump to be safer, but they're going to shield anyways, as you see here. Send in a Blissey and then start pounding down. And just pray that whatever's in the back, I can beam it to death. So as you see here, we are vigorously tapping on Hyper Beam, trying to get there. Shadow Charizard's Blast Burn hurts a lot, so I want to be careful. But I thought they would bait at that point because I still have a shield. They don't know what I have in the back, so the smart move is to probably try and bait and then Blast Burn because it's not like I have any shields anyways. Get the Hyper Beam off, get beamed, you fish, a super fish tank, because like, that didn't even put you in red, that literally put you in the So Blissey's Hyper Beam is incredibly powerful, you can KO a lot of things, but as you see there, Alola is one of the exceptions. We get farmed down, I'm going to send in Chansey to smack this thing down at full power. So I'm literally going to shield whatever comes in next. Actually, I think I'm just going to take it, save my shield for Charizard, and then I'm going to beam whatever's in the back, which is that Shadow Charizard. So I'm expecting Shadow Charizard to get hit, to get one-shot by the beam. I'm literally expecting the one-shot from the beam. So as you see here, I'm vigorously tapping down because they shouldn't get to another Psychic. They do, but I don't shield it anyways. Chansey's a tank, so because I can take a few more Fire Spins, and I can take a Dragon Claw if I wanted to, but I wanted to save the shield for Charizard. Just in case, by some odd reason, this beam does not kill. Get beamed times 2, and it doesn't kill. It actually lives with like 2 HP, which is pretty freaking nuts. So Shadow Charizard will live a whole Hyper Beam from a Chansey. I learned that on this day, which was pretty nuts. But as you see, they're very, very dominant just because we won the lead. So it was a very, very dominant matchup for us. But as you see, Blissey did well. We get Alola into a Vileplume. This is horrible, so I say switch into Blissey as I did before. Now, our opponent stays in. I'm either electing for them to switch out, which they do. They switch out into their Clefable. And you see, I'm just mercilessly tapping on the Hyper Beam because I'm hoping that they don't shield this. If they don't shield this, I can possibly take back switch. We get the Hyper Beam off. Does it land? It does not land. So this kind of sucks. Now my opponent is probably going to Mirror Match here. I'm going to let my Blissey go. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send in my Alola. My master plan here is I want farm because that Shadow Vileplume is just going to send me to the Underworld anyways. So as you see, I do send in my Fishy and I'm going to farm all the way down and get as much energy as I can for Psychic. My idea is to take the Vileplume to the zeros and then hopefully we can come out with a matchup here because we're already in a pretty tight spot. Not landing a Hyper Beam kind of sucks because you can possibly land 2 Psychics if you do have that matchup versus a Clefable. As you see here, Vileplume does come back in, so we're going to fire off the Psychics and pray. Well, we're going to grab a shield because this actually does heavy damage. I switch into my Blissey because now we're in the zeros. As you see here, we have an Electrode, which is great for us because, well, it's not really that great because the thing about Electrode is that Electrode still does a hefty amount of damage. As you see here, discharges don't do a lot, but if they fired a Hyper Beam at me, that would really suck. So I can expect my opponent to go straight discharge. They're just trying to chunk away and then take away my HP. As you see, I'm frantically tapping on Hyper Beam again, as you see here, just because I'm trying to get it off. Sadly, I don't time it right, indeed. You get an extra Volt Switch. As you see, get beamed, and then it still doesn't kill for some odd reason. Well, actually, I don't expect it to kill. Chansey has a much lower attack than Blissey, so Blissey has a high... well, not a much lower attack, but Blissey has a higher attack, so you can expect Blissey's Hyper Beam to do more damage than Chansey. As you see here, I attempt to catch a move. Well, I actually do catch Discharge, but I end up shielding it. What I try to do is I try to farm down my opponent and then get enough energy for Psychic. That was my idea. And as you see here, I do get the energy for Psychic, and then this should KO, and that's GG's. Lost the lead, but somehow we still took back. We still got the W, which is pretty nuts because Shadow Vileplume sucks, and it actually shreds through Blissey and Chansey. But as you see, if you're able to land a Psychic, you're able to KO, so it was really... It worked out for us. Very fun team, very trolly team. This was a whole lot of fun, to be honest with you. Beaming through shields or just beaming, but I felt so disrespectful doing this just because it's such a troll. When your opponent sees the Blissey and the Chansey, they're like, what the heck is this? What is this person doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to have some fun. Y'all are being hella serious. I'm trying to have some fun, man. We get Scolipede into a Alola. This is actually not that bad for us. Our opponent switches out to an Electrode. I'm going to fire off this Psychic before I switch out, and then I'm going to switch into Blissey. The reason I want to get this off is because I either want chip damage or I want to grab a shield. Because the thing about it is, like, Blissey still is going to take a little bit of punishment from Electrode because Electrode is going to spam these discharges or foul play. As you see, we get the defense debuff, which is great for us. I should be able to just farm this thing down now, which I do. I'm just smacking it down. I will take everything you throw at me, and I just want all this energy for a Psychic. Because if they throw in Scolipede, then I can Psychic and pop a shield. As you see, we do pound down, take the pound down, and then we send in they send in their Scolipede as predicted. We get the Psychic off, we should grab a shield. And we do. Now I'm going to expect my opponent to nuke my Blissey. They're probably going to try and like get another, like try to get a little overcharge just a little bit to get some extra energy. They fire the Sludge Bomb that will KO my Blissey, and then I'm going to send in a Alola. Alola can tank another move. I don't know what's in the back, so like just better be safe than sorry. And I'm going to farm down this Scolipede. Now what I'm going to do is that if I'm going to send it, I'm going to try to break that last shield. Or actually they send in their Alola itself. I'm going to shoot the Psychic off. Hopefully I do get the defense debuff. If not, we got Chansey. Fire off the Psychic, and then hopefully grab shield. We do not grab shield, but we do fire off our Chansey. Now the thing about Chansey is it can actually win this matchup because now that it has chip damage on it. My opponent fires a move, and I elect to not shield, but just to disrespect my opponent. As you see, Hydro Pump does not kill. And after this, my opponent actually gives up. As you see, this team was a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed using it. I don't recommend using it if you're trying to climb, but you know what? It's a whole lot of fun.